First fight of the night, Stuart Nickel versus Jesus Aguilar. Stuart Nickel is a guy on the regional scene who's been making some noise, using his superior wrestling to kind of just dominate most of the fights he's been in. Striking is looking a little bit better. He seems to be more of a boxer. Straight 1-2s, front kicks into the clinch, where he has some really nice body lock takedowns, good double legs. And he seems to be a strong guy. I saw him fight up a weight class, and he was still able to use his grappling to control a bigger dude. Jesus Aguilar is more of a striker, but he does have some grappling of his own. Not the best takedown defense, as in he will get taken down, but he's got some pretty slick scrambles from the bottom. I think one of his worst traits is he really likes to go for guillotines when people double leg him, and it kind of gives up position. It's tough because I think Stuart Nickel, he's unproven. He hasn't fought anyone that good, and Jesus Aguilar has at least been in there with guys who are athletic and big, and he's also was in there with Tatsuro Taira. Got finished, but he was still in there with him. So usually I don't trust hype, but something about Stuart Nickel, I just like his style. I think if he can get in there and get in Aguilar's face and not let him have his range to land big shots and just force him into grappling exchange after grappling exchange, I think something eventually is going to open up. So I'm going to go Stuart Nickel. I'm going to go by third round submission. Next fight of the card, Kenan Song versus Ricky Glenn. Ricky Glenn, big, tall, rangy southpaw. He's more of a slick counter striker. He'll poke at you with his jab. He kind of likes to leave his jabbing hand way in front of him, and he'll try to time you with open side counters. Pretty good at setting that up. He knocked out, what's that guy's name, Joaquin Silva with that. So there's always a possibility that he catches Kenan Song if he gets reckless, but he's not used to fighting taller guys. He's been at featherweight and lightweight. And Kenan Song's coming down from welterweight. But Kenan Song, what do we got? We have a boxer, not a brawler per se, but someone who does his best work when he's up in close, countering. He has a really good left hook, keeps a really high guard, not the highest output. He will blast kicks if he feels like he has to, but he seems to really like punching people. So this is interesting because Ricky Glenn has been finished in 2 of his last 3 fights, both by TKO, Dober, and the other guy, whose name I can't think of. So I'm going to go Kenan Song. I just think he did drop Ian Gary, which shows me that he does have some good timing, and I think he's going to be just as big as Ricky Glenn, and I think even if he gets tagged, he's going to be able to eat it and deliver the more powerful shots. So I'm going to go Kenan Song. I'm going to go by second round knockout. Next fight of the card, Tom Nolan versus Alex Reyes. So this one is weird because Alex Reyes, I think he's a striker. I have not seen enough of his fights. He has not fought a whole bunch. He's a tall guy, rangy for the division. He likes to brawl, will brawl. Seems to have he's very tough because he got hurt a lot in his last fight and still just kept trying to fight until he literally got put down for good. I think he wants to be a slick outside striker, but he's kind of older right now, and I don't know. I don't see the talent there, at least at this level. Tom Nolan, tall, southpaw, really good striker. He's a sniper. He'll use nice knees up the middle, good elbows in the clinch. He has been dropped in both of his last 2 fights. He got dropped by Victor Martinez, and that was kind of a slow uppercut from someone way shorter, and it still knocked him down. So I don't know how his chin is, but I'm going to trust him because he did come back in that fight and showed some good resilience. Losing to Nicholas Mota was throwing basically the same combination over and over, and eventually he just hit him with the left hook. I think it was a left hook, and sent him down. But I haven't seen that from Alex Reyes, so I'm going to trust Tom Nolan to go out there and get a decision. I have a feeling this is going to be a tit-for-tat type of fight with Tom Nolan getting the better of it. But yeah, I'm going Tom Nolan by decision. Next fight up the card, Jack Jenkins versus Herbert Burns. We'll start with Herbert Burns. Very dangerous submission threat, especially in the first round. He comes out like a bat out of hell and attacks and will shoot into the clinch, and he's got some really strong upper body takedowns. He'll do like reversals, pull you on top of him, lateral drop you, go to a single leg, jump on your back, and he will lock up something really quick if you make a mistake. Striking on the feet is pretty sloppy, mostly big overhands to try to press you into the clinch, put you against the cage, and start working his grappling. Kind of slow, and like I said, the real problem with him is he gasses out, and when he gasses out, he becomes just like a punching bag. Jack Jenkins, who's a very slick striker on the feet, very athletic dude as well, was coming off a tough fight with Chet Mariscal where he was outstriking him early going and then kind of started getting mauled in the clinch a little bit. Not like dominated or anything, but he was getting tested big time by Chepe until he got taken down and just completely broke his arm. So I don't really know what to think about that, but from all his other fights, his striking looks very crisp and he's very disciplined. I worry about that initial rush of Herbert Burns, but when I look at Jack Jenkins, I see a guy who's probably ready for what Burns has to bring, and I think he can pace himself and eventually come on late to finish Herbert Burns. So I'm going to go Jack Jenkins. I'm going to go by second round TKO. Next fight up the card, Casey O'Neill versus Luana Santos. So Luana Santos, she's a good athlete, good power on the feet, decent submissions from top control, good movement on the outside. She's kind of sloppy in her striking. She will grapple and wrestle. She's not amazing at it, but if you throw a kick and she catches it, she will follow you to the ground. She will get on top. She did that to Agapova, but Agapova just looked, I don't even know. But Casey O'Neill, not the best striker, but pretty effective in the jiu-jitsu. Not an amazing wrestler. She's shot some pretty bad takedown attempts. And she just doesn't seem to be that fluid on the feet. Her pressure's decent, but her footwork has some vulnerabilities. Same with Santos. This fight's, it's kind of close, but I'm going to go Luana Santos. I think she can keep it standing. And I think even if Casey O'Neill lands some good combinations, I think Santos will land the harder shots and will probably pick up a close split decision. So I'm going to go Luana Santos by split decision. Next fight up the card, Josh Culibao versus Ricardo Ramos. Ricardo Ramos, great grappler, great submission artist, wild on the feet, very confident, super athletic, owner of 2 spinning elbow knockouts. He makes some crazy decisions, and when he gets panicked, he shoots, and he will shoot his head right into 2 chokes, or he will shoot his head right into chokes. He's got choked twice in his last 2 fights, I believe, by 2 different guillotines, by Charles Jourdain and Julian Erosa. And even in the Erosa fight, he had Erosa hurt, but he just can't help but shoot for those takedowns when things get a little intense. It's just like his go-to game. Josh Culibao, great boxer, beautiful punches on the outside, very tough. He honestly seems like he's got really good takedown defense. I'm actually pretty high on Josh Culibao. I know he's lost some fights. He had that close fight with Danny Silva where Danny Silva just tanked a lot of his damage and just basically put so much pressure on Culibao on the feet that he was able to translate that into some decent top position and just decent flurries against the fence. But Culibao was in that fight the whole time. I don't think Ricardo Ramos is going to be able to take down Culibao and then just submit him. I think that's obviously possible, but I think if Culibao can defend the takedowns, use the fence, keep safe from all the wild strikes from Ricardo, I think he can definitely box him up from the outside, land big shots, possibly even get a submission if Ricardo shoots. But I hope he doesn't pull a guillotine. So I'm going to go Josh Culibao, and I'm going to go by unanimous decision. I just think Ricardo's a little limited on the feet and a little predictable. So, yeah, going Culibao. All right, heavyweight slop coming up. Junior Tafa versus Victor Walter. Victor Walter, what do we say? Big, giant dude. Kind of sloppy on the feet. Good calf kicks. Decent jab, and that he has a powerful jab, I should say. But surprisingly loves to wrestle. Will shoot super low to his knees on the body lock, take you down, and he will refuse to let his hands go. He'll just hold you around your waist in a body lock. And obviously in the last fight, he got really tired doing that and just got kind of beat on by Lucas Bresky for 3 rounds. So he doesn't have the best cardio. Junior Tafa, on the other hand, prefers to strike, seems to hate wrestling. Good boxing on the feet, good power, pretty good takedown defense, especially up against the cage. Just isn't the best at getting up when he gets taken down. His last fight, he took on, I think, less than a day's notice, fighting Rodrigo Nascimento, I believe. And, yeah, he took a beating. It really looked like he struggled to check any calf kicks, and the takedowns were right there, which is what Victor Walter loves to do. So, on paper, Victor Walter actually could have the game plan to beat Junior Tafa. But I think Junior Tafa, the fact that he can go 3 rounds and still have power, and I don't think he's going to give up on himself. And I see Walter getting exhausted and eventually just kind of being a punching bag, shooting takedowns, getting stuffed, and then taking punches, rinse and repeat for 3 rounds. So I'm going to go Junior Tafa by very tedious decision. Next fight should be a good one. Opening up the main card with Jingliang Li versus Carlos Prates. This is a tough fight to call. With Carlos Prates, we got a southpaw, very low output, but he loves his left side attacks. Left heap up the middle, left low kick, left body kick, left high kick, left punch, left cross, left hook, left uppercut, left knee, but mainly it's all from the left side. Not a whole lot of right hooks or jabbing. He will throw one jab out there, but he seems to love his left hand. It's got a lot of power. Takedown defense is still a question. He has defended some, and he looks like he's got pretty solid hips, but he hasn't been tested in that area. But Jingliang Li, good boxing, orthodox fighter, likes to fight on the outside, constant head movement, constant circling, really good footwork, honestly. Can be kind of corralled against the cage a little bit, and he will just open up swinging. And yeah, he's got some decent kicks and some good boxing. Not the most potent guy on the feet, though, even though he does have a couple knockouts. But I'm going to pick Carlos Prates. I think it's been just such a long layoff for Lee, even though that doesn't seem to mean anything these days, so maybe he comes in and looks better than ever. He's also around 36, a little older. I think he's going to be outsized on this one. And I think if the D-Rod fight is any indication, he does kind of struggle against southpaws, but that might just have been because it was on short notice. But I think Prates is going to be able to just pick his shots, land good kicks at range, land an occasional left punch. I don't think he's going to knock out Lee. And I don't see Lee using a takedown heavy game. If he does that, that could get very interesting. But with the evidence I have, I'm going to have to go Carlos Prates by unanimous decision. But yeah, I think Lee's tough and he probably won't get knocked out. But I just see him eating too many big shots and possibly just getting stuck at range, kind of like the Neil Magny fight. So yeah, I'm going to go Carlos Prates by unanimous decision. All right, next fight. In the heavyweight division, we have Tai Tuivasa versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Rozenstruik, what do we say about him? Counter striker with big power, very low output, But he can go the whole five. He can go 5 rounds at a pretty decent pace for a heavyweight. No grappling whatsoever. Some decent high kicks as well, at least earlier in his career. Although lately now it seems to be fading away. Big hook, overhand, circle. So maybe don't expect a high kick in this one. But Tai Tuivasa, what do we got? Big brawler, orthodox. Oh, and Jairzinho Rozenstruik, I believe, is southpaw as well. No, he's orthodox, sorry. Tai Tuivasa, also orthodox. Good boxing on the feet. Pretty hard kicks when he goes to it. Very good pressure. Good footwork when he's on the offensive. Well, at least in that Cyril Gane fight, he had really good footwork, so I think he can do it. Likes to throw himself into the chaos and exchange big bombs with people. But he just hasn't looked great lately. I wanted to pick him very badly, but from everything I've seen, I think he walks into a Jairzinho. I think it goes two ways. Either he puts Jairzinho on the back foot immediately and has the initiative and gets a slugfest going and lands first and knocks out Rozenstruik, or he gets frustrated on the outside getting kicked in the leg, rushes in and gets caught and knocked out. But I want to pick Tai so bad, but I'm going to go with the favorite, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, and I'm going to go by 3-round decision. I know, but I think he can just withstand an initial blitz and then just use his outside movement with occasional clinches and big swings to back Tai off and just land bigger shots, basically. So I'm going to go Jairzinho Rozenstruik by decision. Next fight at the card, Mateusz Gamrot versus Dan Hooker. Mateusz Gamrot, what do we say? Big takedown. That's him. He loves takedowns. He loves shooting over and over, not necessarily controlling unless it's against the cage, and he will hold a body lock on you for long periods of the time. Good kicks on the outside. When he gets you worried about those takedowns, he actually has some very decent striking, not in like a boxing sense, but in like a kickboxing sense, I guess is the way to put it. Good kicks, decent single 1-2 punches, duck out the side door, use those punches to initiate body locks, single legs, double legs. He go to everything. Dan Hooker, the Hangman, beautiful kickboxer on the outside. Loves his big. He likes to set up really big strikes. He'll use a nice teep kick up the middle, good jab, great counter left hook. Not much of a right-hand fighter, although he will use it if he's cutting you off. I worry about him throwing low kicks and getting taken down off of them. But I think as the fight goes on, if Gamrot keeps shooting, he's going to run into something. And I think Hooker might be able to be the first one to finish him. I just think it's a tricky matchup for both guys. But I'm putting my trust in Dan Hooker. I've just seen him catch too many people trying to come in on him, especially if they get predictable with takedowns. And also, he has a really nasty guillotine, so don't be surprised if he gets a submission. But I think that's what I might go. No, I'm going to go Dan Hooker by decision. I just think you're going to have to... I think Gamrot's going to have to show some real good shit on the feet to win this fight. I don't think he can just spam takedowns and win it. And since I haven't seen it yet, I'm just going to pick Dan Hooker for the great takedown defense, the chokes, and the knees and front kicks up the middle. And yeah, going Dan Hooker by unanimous decision. All right, co-main event of the evening, Kai Kara France versus Steve Erceg. Steve Erceg, what do you say? Great boxer on the outside, great takedown defense, good kicks, great movement. And as a striker, very dangerous for the division, very clean, very technical. Makes some silly mistakes sometimes. I think he's very confident, sometimes can be a little too confident. And I think he needs to take a chill pill sometimes and just win at what he's good at. Arguably could be the champion right now. But again, made some silly mistakes against Pantoja and gave away moments that he shouldn't have. But other than that, just a fantastic fighter, like really good. Kai Kara France, this is sneaky because Kai Kara France has a very interesting style to go against Erceg. Kai Kara France has really good movement on the outside. He'll use real good lateral movement, to set up his big overhand swings, big blitzing left hooks. Not the cleanest boxer. He's not going to go jab, jab, pull, right hand, weave to the inside. But what is he going to do is he's going to circle, throw a kick, circle, blitz in with a right hand, left hook. And I think if he can get Erceg constantly resetting, constantly trying to plant his feet to land, and then just dipping out the side door, he can really frustrate Erceg and get him to start making some mistakes. And if Kara-France wants, he can even use the takedowns, possibly. But those are a lot of ifs. From what I've seen as Erceg, he seems very principled. He won't follow. He'll cut the cage. He does set his feet to throw, and I think that could give him some issues, but I think he'll be prepared for Kara-France. And after what I saw against Pantoja, I think he is one of the best in the world. And it's tough to pick against Kara-France, but I'm going to go Steve Erceg, and I'm going to go by close unanimous decision. Main event of the evening. Dricus du Plessis defends the middleweight title against Israel Adesanya. Israel Adesanya, what do we know? One of the greatest middleweights of all time. I think that's kind of undeniable. Basically beat everyone in his division, even though there were some not great fights in there. Great outside striker, great calf kicks, obviously. Great jab, can fight orthodox or southpaw. Very good on the counter. Likes to fight with his back against the fence. He really enjoys circling the fence, lining up shots, playing hand traps, plays a lot of games on the feet, is very technical, very tricky. Not a huge combination puncher, not like the best boxing or anything, but as when it comes to landing singular big strikes, he's very good at it. Against Dricus du Plessis, it could be trouble because du Plessis lacks craft. He's obviously very sloppy on the feet, I guess you could say. He runs with his punches, with his chin right up in the air. But he gets people really caught off guard with that. And he doesn't stop exchanges when people think they're done. People will exchange. He'll get you into thinking that he's going 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And then when you go 1, 2, and then he goes 3, 4, 5, and chases you out with really good reach and really big punches. And I think that's where he can give Adesanya some problems. Adesanya, though, can grab the clinch on people if he feels comfortable, but I think with du Plessis' strength and his wrestling, I think Adesanya is going to be using his skills to avoid the clinch and to hopefully stick Dricus on the outside of his jab to where he's coming in and possibly landing uppercuts, knees up the middle. A lot of weapons for Adesanya are there, honestly, and du Plessis' safety is basically his wrestling, because I think on the feet he should get outmaneuvered very easily, at least in large parts of this fight. But I really think his pressure and his ability to just mix up the combinations can give Adesanya a lot of problems. And at the same time, I think Adesanya's movement, his size, and his range could give du Plessis a lot of problems. So this is a tough one. I honestly really am leaning Israel Adesanya. But after the Strickland fight and the layoff, I don't know if he's going to be... I don't know how he's going to do against du Plessis. I think the wrestling is really going to make a difference. But I can just see Adesanya knocking out Dricus. I don't know why. I see it in my head. But I'm going to go against my gut because sometimes it's wrong. I'm going to go with Dricus du Plessis, and I'm going to go by close decision. I think he just wins big portions of the wrestling and lands some big shots on the feet. Don't be surprised if he doesn't get a late TKO or submission, but yeah, I'm going to go Dricus du Plessis by decision. All right, guys, that'll do it for today, and I'll be back with the recap this weekend. All right, see ya.